All right, we are going to talk about our moonlit landscapes and how we are going to create them. And the first thing we need to think about is value. It's the element of art called value. And no, I'm not talking about how much something is worth. I'm talking about the value of color. Value refers to how light or dark something is, or how light or dark a color is, I should say. To make things lighter and darker, we end up having to use black and white. And you can see you can make a whole range of values going from a very, very light tint all the way over to a very, very dark shade. And in the middle is the original hue here with nothing mixed in between it. To make it lighter, you add white. To make it darker, you add shade. To make it darker, you add black to make a shade. We also, if you just go to a regular hardware store, you can see an example of these in the paint aisle. These paint chips are perfect examples of a value scale or a value change. As I mentioned, you need to add white to make a tint, so you'll make a lighter color. And you're going to add black to make a darker color called a shade. So on here, I want everyone to point with their finger and not talk with their mouth. Point to a tint. That's right. All this stuff on the outside here has been added, has had white added, and it is a tint. All right. Same thing for a shade. Everybody point to where a shade is. Where's a shade? Yay! We're all right. It's this stuff on the inside here. All these dark colors in here, those are our shades. When you look, this middle ring here is a pure hue. Shades are on the outside here. Tints are on the inside, which is a tricky thing because it's opposite from what I just showed you, but it still works because it's still getting lighter for tints and darker for shades. You can go either way. It doesn't really make a difference as long as you're labeling them the correct places. And we are going to play around with this idea because this here, if you look, it looks kind of like the light is shining out, right? You've got like a spotlight coming out and it's lighter tints closer to the light and it gets darker shades as you get farther away. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to do that in our background. This is going to be what our sky looks like. Now you could choose to do it in this blue if you want to. You also have some choice in some of the other colors if you want to use. Maybe you want to do a sunset where it goes from a bright white sun to some yellows and oranges and reds, or maybe it's midnight and you want to go from white to a blue to a purple, kind of a mix together. You can do that too, but you have to make sure that you have the lighter tints close up here and the darker shades as it goes out. So you can actually use two colors and still include tints and shades. It's crazy, I know. Alright, so pretend that we're painting. We're actually going to be using colored pencils instead. So when it says paint, just say color. Just pretend it says color. You're going to color a white circle on your paper. Guess what? Your paper is white. The white circle is already there. You might want to lightly outline with a pencil so that you know about how big you want it to be, but you want it really, really light because we don't want to see that at the end. The next step originally said add a touch of blue paint to your white paint. Now we're just going to add a little bit of blue, or if you want to do a sunset, a little bit of light yellow. You want to color very, very lightly with your colored pencil. You can always add more afterwards, but you want to start really, really light. As you keep adding, you'll start making a little bit darker of a blue. So this first ring, you want to go nice and light with your colored pencil. And then you're going to make the next ring a little bit darker. So it's going to be a little... Now, do you really want it to be a bullseye? If you looked outside at the moon, would it be a bullseye? No. I don't know what this is doing here, but no! You want to blend between these two areas right here. So you want to make sure you do a smooth transition between the two. So as you move your way out, you want to slowly press harder with your pencil. You don't want to just color a ring here, color a ring here. This isn't Saturn. Eventually, it will start building out. Like some of you can see that it's got a little bit sharp. You want to kind of blend that a little bit better. Then what we're going to do is think about adding things to our background that make it look like an actual world. So here we have a bunch of trees. The trees that are closest to me are darker, and the trees that are farther away are lighter. What's it called when they're darker? That's right, it's a shade. And how about when they're lighter? Correct, that's a tint. I feel a little bit like Dora the Explorer right now, but you can see it's not just in this one photo, it exists in bunches of them. If we put that design on top of our background, you can see this was a sunset one, it creates a really great sense of space. So what you're going to do is shade with your pencil to get these gray values to make a grayscale. It's a type of value drawing as well. And put that in front of your thing. Now, does yours have to be just trees? No, that would be boring. We're going to talk about different things that could be in a landscape, but trees are an option for part of yours. You should still have 3 different grounds so that you know something in the far back, something in the middle, and something closest to you to layer together to make this stuff. And if we put it in front of our lovely little moons, you can see some blue ones. Just a quick thing to go over, adding a horizon line. You don't want to put it really, really far at the bottom here. You want to have it more of a natural level. You don't really want it way at the top either, because both of those are going to look kind of weird. That's not really how we see the world around us. We generally see it like in the middle. A little reminder that there should only be one light source. We do want to have a little bit of cast shadows off of things. So if you're looking at an object, the light is coming from over here, it's going to cast a little shadow. If it's a person standing, it looks like the outline of a person. If it's a ball, it looks like a ball. So when you're doing your objects, this is your lovely tree, it should have a little shadow. If you did a snowman, it should have a lovely shadow. Now, is that a good shadow for a snowman? No, that's a bunch of scribbles. It should be those 3 rounded shapes on the ground to make your lovely shadow.